Job hunting is broken. As of today, 98% of applications get ignored. Most jobs aren't even posted online, and the average grad takes over 100 days to land something. Yes, 100 days. But despite all the odds and a flooded inbox of no replies, I managed to get 2 pretty prestigious jobs with unconventional ways and creativity. And I did that in the crazy Italian job market and a 19 and 20-year-old. Whether it's your first internship or a full-time job, this is a high-stakes game. So let's break down a step-by-step framework that turns chaos into clarity and actually works. In this video, I'm going to take you by hand, starting with how to have a healthy and anxiety-free approach to recruiting, how to find your unique vision, and then how to find companies that match your vision. Then we're gonna see the framework to stand out from other applicants. And in the end, pure effective execution with a tracking system. Let's get started. Now, let's be real here. Job hunting messes with your head. It's like rejection after rejection in complete silence. And science backs this up. Science shows that job interviews trigger the same anxiety as public speaking. It's brutal. It's like yelling into the void while your LinkedIn feed is full of "I'm happy to announce," "I'm grateful to announce," and this makes it 10 times worse. And you start thinking it's all random, but in reality, it's not. Job hunting isn't a lottery, it's a system, and like every other system, it can be optimized. You don't really win by luck, you win by process, even though we're gonna see later in the video that luck plays a part. And the sooner you internalize that, the less it hurts and the sooner you can start play the long game. Personally, it helped me a lot thinking you are one message away from your next job. You are one application away from your next job. Also, stop comparing. When you see the result, you don't see the 500 messages they sent or the network they had, or more importantly, their unfair advantages. Focus on you, focus on your system, and you'll see your results. Now let's talk about how to find your direction and the companies that matches the direction and the vision you're going. The fastest way to burn out, in my opinion, is just throw your resume at 300 companies and hope that it sticks. I don't think that's just inefficient, that's also a bit delusional. So let's break down a couple of things you can trigger in order to really understand what is the company for you and the best way to apply. I would say for the sake of this video, we're gonna divide jobs into classic and more dynamic. Let's just take this definition as it is. I would say classic jobs are the ones where kind of the career path, the application process is pretty clear and there isn't much playing around, like consulting, investment banking, for example. The most you can do in that process to really increase your chances is maybe get a referral. We'll talk about it later in the video. But other jobs are dynamic. I'm talking about startups, I'm talking about tech, I'm talking about creator economy, and I'm talking about all the jobs that maybe they're not even posted, or maybe they're in very small teams, and in this way you can really play and use all the leverages you want in the application process. I would say start by understanding what you want. I'm not just talking about the role, I'm talking about having like a deep understanding and a research on the role, the industry, the type of task that fits you, the size of the company. You want more responsibility early on, you want less responsibility in a more structured approach. That's gonna help you a lot, and I feel like a lot of people don't really think about that before and they just go apply blindly. And this is why I would say it's not to focus on the quantity of the applications, but on the quality of the applications. And this is probably the most difficult part for many of us, myself included. I did this mistake a lot in the past. And when I say really analyze, I'm not just talking about understanding the industry, I'm also talking about how the industry is going to evolve in the next 20, 30 years, because that's going to be like a huge part of your career. And with AI, I mean, we've never seen a change this fast. But let's get back to us. Target 30, 40 companies, not 300. And use all the filters you have in order to really, really shrink your list and just make it your top favorites. And yes, this process is gonna take way longer than 0 odds applying, like sending a CV or hitting the easy apply LinkedIn button. But pick the right companies, otherwise you lose time. Last point to highlight here is don't let a job description stop you. even if you don't have all the criteria, you can still go for it. Take that leap of faith. But at the same time, be realistic. Don't apply to a job if you're very underqualified, but at the same time, overqualified. Don't settle for a job you don't want. So you're now in this position where you're like, there's 100 companies that I want. Okay, I maybe picked 30 or 40, but how do I keep track of all the things that came out? I can't just go into the website every single day. Well, I've got you covered. You just need to go into the web and type Google Alert. Click on the first link. And here, I'm sorry, this is in Italian, but you won't need anything here to understand this. Basically, what this website do is to track everything that happens in a certain page. Most people use this, for example, to track their own names in the web. I haven't done it on this account yet. Let's assume that we want to work for OpenAI. So we're going to type OpenAI careers. You just go into their website, view open roles, and this is where they do all their job posting. Now, Command L to show the URL and Command C to copy it. Now let's just go back to Google Alerts and just type site, column, and then paste the link here. Don't worry if the query didn't produce any results. And then you want to put in quotation marks the keyword that you want to search. For example, intern. Now, OpenAI is probably not going to take any intern anytime soon, but that's fine. And then also you can use the Boolean research, which is a very specific way of searching things on the web. And type and in the capital letters, again, question marks, and for example, sales. Close the question marks, and here there's a couple of more options, but I think you're good as it is, and just create it here. Now I'm actually going to get an email every single time on that specific page you have the word intern and sales pop up together. And that takes us to the next section of the video: build leverage with people, not companies. Most people obsess about companies, but in reality, the decision makers in the company are people. So the game isn't really to impress a system, it's to connect with humans. And that is where we introduce the magic word of this video, which is networking. All the jobs I had until now came through this channel right here. We could probably stay here talking about it for an hour. We'll probably save it for a future video. As of today, you just have to know that you have to interact with people and just go the extra mile in order to know people and really know the industry you're working with. But part of the networking game is the LinkedIn game. Needless to say that before starting to understand how to approach people on LinkedIn, your profile has to be perfect. And I just made the most detailed guide on the web about the LinkedIn profile. You can check the link in the description and in the first comment. Nowadays, for each application, there's tons of applicants. So how do you stand out? I want to share a framework I borrowed from Stephen Bartlett of the Diary of a CEO. And basically this one says that every time you have to deliver a message, you have to be concerned about a couple of things. Let's say you want to send a CV via email or through a LinkedIn messages to a CEO, HR, CFO, or whatever. In this case, here we're gonna put noise, and here we're gonna put apathy. Guess where your CV is gonna end up? Here, because the message is like apathy provides zero value for who's receiving it, and it's noisy because it comes from a channel where there's probably hundreds of more. Now, what happens if for example, we send the CV through the letterbox, or we find creative ways to make our CV stand out and end up, for example, on the desk of the founder? Well, we ended up here because this is actually the medium channel. So how specific and how creative is the way you send the message? But again, we're still here. Right here, there's the message impact. That's the opposite of apathy. So how do we go from a medium channel that is actually great, but with a message that it's not, like, doesn't have impact? This right here, guys, this passage right here comes only if you are really creative. For example, find creative ways to do a presentation or a video and send it to the CEO. Here, in that case, you're here. Do your market research. Really show that you've done the work. In this way, you're really going to stand out. Imagine being here and being here. That's a complete difference. This distance here makes all the difference in the world. For example, in my last job, I did a market research for the company, and it was completely personalized on Lord of the Rings, because I've seen a couple of references on the website. So it was all in. It was either they think I'm a weirdo, which I probably am, or they love me. And luckily it was the second one. But how can you skip even this system? Like, this system is great when you start from scratch. You can bypass even this system. You can just completely skip the medium channel phase and get here immediately. Let's think about it this way. A recruiter won't open you the front door, but a friend of a friend might open you the door in the back. As we said, warm intros, in my opinion, beat almost every cold way. Use mutual connection, the alumni of your university and ex-colleagues. About ex-colleagues, behave well with your colleagues. You never know where they're gonna end up in the future. So try to build a decent relationship with them, because you never know where they're gonna work in the future. But apart from that, you can't expect them to help you, because they need to expose themselves with their boss or the boss of their boss, or with a connection they build with time and effort, and a valuable connection. But there's not just direct networking, there's also indirect one. Building your own personal brand. Post, write on the web, make them see. You never know who's watching. Austin Kleon talks about it in his book, Show Your Work. Imagine your boss doesn't even have to ask questions at the interview, because you already have everything online. Of course, here is where luck comes back into the conversation, but luck is like an arrow. In order for it to increase the chances it hits you, you have to increase your surface area of luck. And that is exactly what you can do if you take that leap of faith. If you apply, even though you're not that qualified. If you send that message to the CEO, you think it's impossible he's going to reply. Maybe he will. It's posting online. Create reputation before even going to the first interview. Now, at the beginning of the video, I promised you a tracking system. And here you have it. Of course, all of this doesn't matter anything. If you don't track it, there's still gonna be chaos. Remember, the goal from the beginning of the video was to turn chaos into clarity. This is what I call clarity. This is a system I've used for every single of my job application. I've done this in Notion, but I live in the first comment all the other software you can do it with if you're not familiar with it. And basically you can personalize this however you want. Look, this is like this big because I'll just scroll through it very slowly. But basically what I would say is just, did I apply? Take here the website, the industry. If you're applying to startups, it's very interested to understand like who's the founder, how big is the team, did they just get a round, which are the investors that are backing that startup. Because when applying to startup or dynamic job in smaller companies, is very hard to make the right decision, because you really don't know who's the winner until you are either in the company or they actually achieve that result. Then there is an about page, where's the city, headquarter, business model, where they operate, the funding they got, the employees, the LinkedIn of the CEO, the VC in the cap table, my take. How do I think, how do I rate it? So I can just, this is also good for the screening phase. My written take, the status, like did I apply, approve, or contact, my chances. It's always good to keep it real. Like I have 0 chances to go work for astronomer. What do I bring on the table? Like what are my unique value proposition that I can bring to the table in the interviews? And then the link of my direct contact, of course. We talked about it, warm interest before. Do they have an internship? In this phase of my career, looking for internship. So that's key for me. Which role? Did I reach out? Did they reply? Did I did it in the first interview, and what's the feedback around it? And you can really go here and customize this however you like. If you like this video, you'll love this, the most detailed LinkedIn profile guide you can find in the entire web. Consider subscribing because new career videos are coming soon, and bye bye.